Hello, friends. Welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Finally, a story where a customer not only is considerate, but in general, pretty awesome. Sometimes you have to start a video with a positive story, right? So don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Suddenly, boom! Managers out of nowhere. I work in a furniture warehouse on the customer loading docks. I'm in a quasi-bad mood for no apparent reason, and a customer pulls up in a smallish SUV. He asks me if I can fit his recliner in the SUV. A bit of digression, the recliner's in a square box, and the recliner itself is split into two parts. The backrest slides into the tracks on the seat and locks in place. I pull out a measuring tape and show him that it won't fit, and ask if I can take the recliner out of the box. This is a very common occurrence, and the customer's thankful that he doesn't have to dispose of the box himself. I get to talking with the customer while I'm loading his car, and he's a jovial, good-natured guy, and he sees I'm struggling a bit to pick up the recliner seat by myself. It's not that the recliner seat is heavy, but it's awkward to try and pick up by yourself without scratching or tearing the leather. Being a good guy customer that he is, he starts to help me. I politely thank him, but tell him that I can't let him help me because insurance and rules, and if he gets hurt, the company will forego firing me in favor of executing me at dawn. He nods and backs off, but when I look around, literally all the other employees are busy. I change my mind and ask him to help me, and we quickly load his car and have the following conversation. Customer: I promise I won't hurt myself. Me: yeah, please don't. If you get hurt, I'll get fired. Then I'll have to live in a sofa box under the freeway. Customer: just tell your manager that I swooped in to help you before you could stop me. Me, laughing: oh, I plan to. If you get hurt, it's all your fault. Customer, obviously joking, he walks towards me with his arms spread. Come at me, bro. Well, if that's gonna be your attitude, you can keep your damn box. Me, also obviously joking, I walk a little ways towards him and stick my finger, not in his face per se, but in the general vicinity of his face. Listen, sir, I work very hard and very long, and I do not appreciate being sworn at. Me and the customer look at each other for a moment, then we both start laughing. I turn to go back into the warehouse and finish his paperwork, and he cuffs me on the shoulder. Suddenly, boom! Managers out of effing nowhere. My boss, his boss, and his boss's boss all come running up to us and start yelling at the customer, something to the effect of, how dare he take a swing at me? The customer's bewildered and stammering and trying to explain himself, and I suddenly realize how the whole scene must have looked to someone who didn't hear the conversation. The customer and I load his car together. The customer says something that looks vaguely threatening or insulting. I turn around and say something that appears to be angry to the customer. Then I turn my back and the customer takes a swing at me. I get the care of managers calm down and explain that no, the customer didn't take a swing at me, and no, I'm not injured or insulted or otherwise slighted, and no, there's no bad blood between the customer and me, and no, I'm not stupid enough to turn my back on someone who I think will take a swing at me. Apologies were had all around, and the managers leave. I apologize to the customer, who shrugs the whole thing off with a laugh. The whole thing made my day. And our second story. Blind and dumb Karen versus a 15-year-old. I'm 15 years of age with autism. This happened a few weeks back. I can remember most of the events, but some details I forgot, so forgive me. I'm picking out stuff in the supermarket in the mall, wearing basketball shoes, pants, polo t-shirt, and wearing a black jacket. I'm wearing headphones, listening to music from Spotify on my phone, picking out stuff to bring to my mom. Now, the supermarket where I'm picking stuff is popular for foreigners. Located in a small town, most of us know each other, so picking out some stuff from the shelf, and I feel a tap on my shoulder. Thinking it's my mom, I turn around and take my headphones, but oh no, it's not my mom. A Karen is in front of me with the typical look. She's wearing jogging shoes, jogging pants, a sweater, and a cap facing backwards. Now, the following convo goes something like this. Karen: hey, do you know where the coffee aisle is? Me: yes, it's about 2 aisles to your right. Karen: no, it isn't. I looked there earlier and there was no coffee. Me: oh, well, okay. I'll just call one of the employees to bring down some coffee from the boxes. Karen: no, I won't wait that long. You do it. Me, confused: pardon? Karen: You bring down the coffee. Me, confused on the request. Ma'am, I'm not an employee here. I'm not even 18. Karen, don't make excuses. I know you work here. I don't pay for these products to give a paycheck to employees like you. Side note, employees are wearing black shoes, black pants, green shirt, white apron, and green cap. Me. Ma'am, I'm not an employee here. As I said, I'm only 15, and I'd like to finish getting stuff for my mom to pay. Karen, no, you're going to help me, or I'll get your manager. At this point, I've had enough, so I put my headphones and start walking away. Karen decides to yank my headphones off my head, damaging the left lobe to the point it's attached to the headphone via the wires. Me. What the heck, lady? Karen, where's your manager? I want to speak with him. Me, pissed off. How many times do I have to say this? I'm not an employee here. I don't even have the nameplate nor the uniform. Karen, get me your manager so I can get you fired. Me, I told you many times I don't work here. Are you blind, deaf, or both? Karen then proceeds to slap me and starts pulling me by my jacket sleeve. I did get free and I start screaming, berating her to the point she leaves, and I said to myself, finally, it's over, or so I thought. About 30 minutes later, same lady shows up again this time with someone I presume is the manager. Karen goes, there, that's him, that's the employee that assaulted me. I want him fired right this instant. Manager, ma'am? What? He isn't an employee. He's just a regular here. Karen then proceeds to start shouting at the manager, screaming racism at me at every opportunity, and as a crowd starts to form. My mom, who's been finding me, finally sees the commotion. Mom asks in confusion, what's happening? And what happened to you? I then tell her everything that's happened. Karen finally is seeing she's not getting anything out of the manager, walks over to me and grabs me by my shirt collar and starts pulling me towards the manager. After 10 or 15 minutes, the police arrive and take the statement of me, the manager, Karen, my mom, the bystanders as well, and check the security footage showing I was dragged against my own will. My mom shows my ID, proving I'm 15 years of age, and the police then arrest her. One of the officers asks if I want to press charges, and I happily agree. She's charged with child battery, property damage, assault, and resisting arrest. She kicked an officer in the leg. Now you think this would be the end, but there's more to the story. Last week we went to court and the judge happens to be my substitute class teacher. Karen got perhaps a cheap lawyer, as everything she did. She and her lawyer denied, and after presenting the evidence, the trial was done in 3 hours. She was sentenced to pay a fine, about $300, and a prison sentence of about a year. Edit, she did get parole. And our last story. Site manager neglected to take care of my property, so I cost the property management company over $500K. Some background. I, 35-year-old male, own a 72-unit apartment complex. When I bought it, it was in good shape, and I spent several million getting all apartments renovated. The rent was an increase for any of the tenants, and I made sure that it never went up by more than $50 a year for lease renewals, baked into the leases. Shortly after all the renovations were completed, I started the search for a property management company and ultimately settled on one that seemed well aligned with wanting to put the tenants first. As we were doing the contracts, I had my real estate friend also look at them. Between him and my lawyer, they recommended having a clause added in there. The short of it is, if there are any legal actions brought up against me for the apartment complex due to the neglect of the property management staff, the property management will be responsible for all those costs and any legal fees incurred. This wasn't added in secret, and the legal team from the property management company agreed, and everything was finalized. They took over the management of the complex a month later. I was fairly hands-off and only visited the site every 3 to 4 months. Other than that, I'd have the monthly updates sent to me by the manager on site. A few months ago, I found out that a couple of the apartments had been left in severe shambles after the tenants moved out, and the cleaning crew we had took care of it. I didn't find out until after the fact that it was not completely accurate because one of the apartments apparently had a bad roach infestation in the storage closet outside the apartment. After the new tenants moved into that apartment, they brought up the issue to the site manager. In the monthly reporting, the site manager claimed that maintenance staff tried to address it with traps and bug bombs. I didn't think too much of it and left it at that. Next month, same thing. And the third month after receiving the monthly report, I called the site manager stating there's a reoccurring issue and I wanted it taken care of professionally at that point. The month's rent was waived for the tenants in that apartment, and they were put up at a hotel for a week while the issue was to be addressed. Once they returned to the apartment is when the issue started. The site manager, either by mistake or by negligence, didn't communicate with the exterminators the extent or the location of the infestation. Instead of the storage closet, the apartment was fumigated, and after that, the roaches made their way into other apartments in the same building and the nearest building, and the problem got so much worse. The same option was given to all the tenants in that building, waiving the month's rent and putting them up in a hotel for a week while the issue is addressed. They all took that offer up. However, one of the tenants decided to take legal action. While I wasn't happy about it, I understood where they were coming from, having their lives disrupted by something that should have been addressed properly to start. As we were in the midst of negotiating with them during mediations, my lawyer reminded me of the clause with the property management company and suggested we give them what they wanted. That's where I started my revenge. I had the rest of the tenants from the 2 impacted buildings be suggested to anonymously that one of the tenants had filed a lawsuit for the damage and they should do the same by getting in on it. Through the mediation, I pretended to be outraged at the whole matter. The negotiation started at 3 months of free rent, but ultimately we all settled on 1 year of free rent for those tenants. Overall, that came out to 16 apartments with rent averaging from $1,700 monthly that the property management had to pay for due to the negligence of the site manager, equaling roughly $325,000 in just the lost rent they had to pay for. And the cherry on top, due to the breach in service for property maintenance, they also have to provide free services for up to 6 months while I seek out a new property management company, costing them an additional $146,000 and still pay for the legal fees on top of that. That's what they get for being crappy at their job. Good on you. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.